Acaba de entrar na sala Sua Excelência João Manuel Gonçalves Lourenço, Presidente da República.
His Excellency, the President of the Republic, João Manuel Gonçalves, has just entered the room.
Sua Excelência João Manuel Gonçalves Lourenço, Presidente da República de Angola, é uma grande honra
With us today, His Excellencies, Ministers of State and the Ministers of the Angolan government, guests, His Excellencies, Deputies and of the National Assembly of the Republic of Angola, His Excellency Diamantino de Azevedo, the acting president of the Organization of African Oil Producers, and the Minister of the Mineral Resources, Oil and Gas of the Republic of Angola, His Excellency Omar Farouk Ibrahim, Secretary General of the Organization of Petroleum Producers of Africa, His Excellencies, Ministers and representatives of the participating countries to the 8th Congress and Exhibition of the African Petroleum, His Excellencies, members of the diplomatic corps accredited to the Republic of Angola, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to the 8th Congress and of exhibition of the African Petroleum, which is taking place today in Luanda, in the capital city, the country which is now taking on the presidency of APO, the African Organization of Petroleum Producer, and the government of the Republic of Angola and Amtrade Limited, with the support of the Ministry of Mineral Resources, Oil and Gas of Angola, and of the National Agency for Oil, Gas, and Biofuels, are responsible for the organization of such an important event, which is happening for the first time in Angola. I will invite Mr. Mahad Ahmed for a short remark.
Your Excellency, Manuel Goncalves,
Sua Excelência e
honorable ministers present here, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols duly observed. I wish you a very good morning and a good welcome to Angola and Cape 8. On behalf of the company that I represent, AME Trade Limited, I would like to extend a profound appreciation to the government of Republic of Angola. It's a great privilege and pleasure for me to welcome you all to the 8th edition of the African Petroleum Congress and Exhibition here in Luanda. Indeed, it's an honor for us to have the members of the Council of Ministers for the African Petroleum Producers Organization, APO, participating in this conference, and also a rare privilege of having the President of the Republic of Angola to perform the opening ceremony, thus demonstrating the commitment of the country to the strategic oil and gas industry in Angola, but also in Africa. The theme of this year's edition, Energy Transition, Challenges and Opportunities in Africa, Energy, Oil and Gas Industry, has been carefully chosen to reflect the current developments in the global oil and gas industry. In particular, with respect to pressure from governments, investors, and the public to support the decarbonization of the global energy system, given the high dependence of the African producing countries on the revenue and foreign exchange from the oil and gas industry to fund public expenditure, it is pertinent that this issue be critically examined to determine its impact on their economies and citizens. I would like to use this opportunity to express a sincere appreciation to the African Petroleum Producers Organization, APO, for the opportunity through a competitive international tender to organize and produce Cape 8. We're also grateful to Angola, the host country, for the support that we have received during the planning of the conference, as well as the arrangements made to facilitate the organization of the events. AME Trade Limited are proud partners to the Angolan government, having organized 5 events here in the previous years. Our utmost gratitude also goes to the sponsors of this year's edition. The lead sponsors, Sonangol, the National Oil Company of Angola, NNPC, the National Oil Company of Nigeria, Platinum sponsors, SNPC, the National Oil Company of Congo, Platinum sponsor, Total Energies, Gold sponsors, AMPG, ExxonMobil, Chevron, and Afrexim Bank, the Silver sponsors, Trafigura, Equinor, and Sonidep, the Bronze sponsors, BFA, Africa Energy Week, Sinopec, Sumoil, and SNH. Moreover, the conference has the support of the industry associations, such as PITAN, ASIPA, and Association of Indigenous Oil and Gas Service Companies here in Angola, and Octan. We're also grateful to the various exhibitors and delegates who have traveled from far and near to this conference. We appreciate your moral, technical, and financial support, without which this conference will not have happened. Please join me in giving them a big round of applause. Thank you very much. Moreover, we would like to thank the representative of international organizations who are also supporting the conference by sending their goodwill messages to the delegates virtually and online. Such personalities include His Excellency Mohamed Sanusi Burkindo, Secretary General of Organization for the Petroleum Exporting Countries, which we're also pleased the President of OPEC is here with us, Honorable Minister from Congo. We have assembled an impressive lineup of speakers and panelists who will address a range of timely and important issues relating to the theme of the conference over the next 3 days. And hopefully delegates and participants will fully understand the theme of the conference and take home knowledge, information that will be useful to their work and areas of interest. AME Trade has been partnering with the African Petroleum Producers Organization to produce this triennial conference, and 4 out of the 8 editions we've been able to organize. The high quality of this organization has made CAPE to be reputed as the largest and the most influential oil and gas event in Africa that seeks to provide African and international oil and gas stakeholders the opportunity to have deeper information and knowledge. We would like to offer our partnership with the Angolan governments and other stakeholders in positioning Angola as a major destination for international events. We would like to thank all our Angolan suppliers, students, support staff, the media for their contribution to this event. We are in a very amazing country with diverse, particular culture and scenery, wonderful food and music. I therefore take this opportunity to wish that the participants will find the time to participate in the social functions and explore Luanda by visiting its cultural touristic sites so that you have an enduring memory of your time here in this country. Once again, I welcome you and I wish you all a fruitful deliberation. I thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Muito obrigada, Sr. Hamed. Em seguida, vamos ter um momento cultural com uma altura em que venceram vários prémios a nível nacional e internacional. Meus senhores e minhas senhoras, para brindar
And internationally, to perform the song My Africa, we invite the Jengas do Macolosso.
Africa,
Thank you, Gingas do Macolusso. I now invite Mr. Omar Farouk, the Secretary General, for opening remarks.
Your Excellency, Lorenzo, President of esteemed member country, the Republic of Angola, and special guest of honor at Cape 8. Your Excellencies, members of the
Excelências, membros da Assembleia Nacional da República de Angola,
Resources, Petroleum and Gas of the Republic of Angola, and President of the APO Ministerial Council, Excellencies, Ministers of APO member countries and our host country, the Republic of Angola, Madam Governor of our host city, Luanda, Excellencies, Ambassadors and Heads of Delegation, senior members of the government and aides to His Excellency, Mr. President, Chief Executive Officers of APO member countries, national oil companies, and permit me, Excellency, to single out the President and management of Sonangol, the Managing Director of the Africa Energy Investment Corporation, ICOP, our friends and partners in the pursuit of a just and equitable energy transition for Africa, the team from Afri-Exim Bank, the Executive Chairman of the Africa Energy Chamber, other captains of the oil and gas industry, the Chairman and members of the Organizing Committee of Cape 8, our consulting organizers, Amitrade, my colleagues at the APO Secretariat and ICOP, the owners and management and staff of this beautiful hotel who have worked hard to provide a conducive environment for our meetings, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. This is the 8th edition of the Africa Petroleum Exhibition and Congress, Cape. It's unique in many respects. It's the first Cape since the completion of the reform exercise of APA to APO in late 2019. Cape 8 having been held in Malabo, Republic of Equatorial Guinea, during the period of the reform. It's also the first Cape since the outbreak of COVID-19, which has significantly changed the way the world sees and does things, opening a number of possibilities and posing threats in many other ways. Excellency, although the term energy transition has become a buzzword in global energy discourse for some years now, the urgency for Africa, especially the oil and gas producing countries of the continent, countries whose national economies are very dependent on oil and gas revenue and whose governments rely heavily on oil and gas revenue to meet their governmental obligations, to frontally address its implications to the continent is today most glaring. And this challenge cannot be addressed in the traditional manner we have tried in the past to find solutions to the continent's problems. A new paradigm shift in the search for solutions to our common challenges is called for that goes beyond national boundaries. For the first time in the history of Capes, Cape 8 has made provision for an all-inclusive contribution to finding the solutions to the challenges of the African oil and gas industry. APO ministers met for an extraordinary session yesterday, and consultations will continue for the rest of the week and beyond. The executive board also met, and the APO Long-Term Strategy Committee, a new think tank created in the course of the APO reform to focus on developing strategic objectives for APO in the light of changing global energy environment, over the weekend, and chief executive officers of national oil companies of our member countries are meeting this afternoon. All these efforts are in recognition of the need to be inclusive in our search for solutions to our common challenges. Cape 8 also has made provision for the youth of our member countries. A special session on the youth is included. Youth speakers at the session are coming on the sponsorship of the Apple Secretariat. Your Excellency, Mr. President, we have come to Luanda with great expectations. We are confident that the gathering of key industry policy makers and operators, plus academics, researchers, and administrators, shall bring forth challenges and solutions bedeviling the oil and gas industry in Africa. And with your Excellency's support and that of your colleagues, heads of state of Apple member countries, a new dawn shall be opened for the continent's oil and gas industry. On behalf of all of us at Apple, I thank your Excellency for creating the time to honor us with your distinguished presence. I also thank the ministers, the CEOs, the ambassadors, and delegates. Before I end, I would like to fill a gap left by the last speaker, Army Trade. I think deserving of recognition as sponsors also are the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board and Afri-Exim Bank, our partners in the struggle to liberate Africa in the oil and gas industry. I thank you for your kind attention. Thank you.
Muito obrigada, Sr. Secretário.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary General. The government of the Republic of Angola has devised a strategy to make Angola independent from oil subproducts, as well as to be able to export to other countries. It foresees the construction of 3 refineries. Next, we are going to have a short presentation of the soy refinery. The groundbreaking ceremony for this refinery has taken place on the 3rd of this month. For this purpose, I will call Mr. Segun Thomas, CEO of Quantum Angola Consortium, the promoter of the project.
Good morning, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Angola, Your Excellency, the Minister of Mineral Resources, Petroleum and Gas, all Your Excellencies present today, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. What we are going to talk about today is a great vision from the top. It's a vision passed down through the minister and implemented by us. And the vision is the Soyo refinery. Next slide, please. The Soyo refinery is being designed to be one of only 2 refineries in the entire continent of Africa that will be to the Euro 5 standard, and Angola needs to be proud of that. What that means is that we are going to be able to produce ultra low sulfur diesel. The refinery is to a capacity of 100,000 barrels per day. We're going to develop all the associated infrastructure, including the marine terminal. And more importantly, there's a new paradigm in the development of this refinery. And this is a robust social development initiative that I will talk about in a minute. Next slide, please. From the technological standpoint, it incorporates very significant technologies, one of which is remote monitoring and diagnostics. What this means is that we will be able to monitor what's going on at the refinery before it happens and fix it. It's also designed for the future. This refinery is being designed to be there for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. However, as we all know, the environment is changing. We are designing the refinery to be able to handle a change to produce petrochemical feedstocks should market conditions dictate. Next slide, please. Everybody's talking about the environment and environmental sustainability. That's a key focus and special emphasis for this refinery. We have looked at emissions, not just carbon emission, but all emissions, H2S, chlorine emission, and so on and so forth. And we are prepared to minimize and in most cases eliminate the emissions. We have also teamed with the government to be able to plant up to 1 million trees. Next slide, please. Sustainability is not just only about environmental sustainability. What we need to realize, especially in this room, is that sustainability also includes societal and economic sustainability. Refineries are enabling infrastructure for any development in any country, similar to gas plants, steel plants, fertilizer plants, and we need all these plants in Africa. However, if you look at the bottom half of the chart, you will see that the carbon footprint for East Africa is, for East Asia is 6.5, for Europe is 8, for the United States is 15.6 tons per person per year. However, in sub-Saharan Africa, it's only 0.3 to 0.5 tons per person per year. That needs to be noticed, and we should not baseline Africa to these standards. Otherwise, we will not be able to develop the rest of Africa. Next slide, please. Another basic aspect of the development of the Soyo refinery is actually the social development initiative. One of the key areas is the technology center. The technology center is not just only for training. It's going to be a business incubator for small businesses to be able to develop and thrive. We're going to have specialist hospitals for cancer and heart disease treatment that will be managed by some of the top hospitals in the United States. We're going to have drinking water, high-speed broadband, scholarships for students to train in the United States, staff quarters for our staff, and also, more importantly, in Benza Congo. Benza Congo is one of the most culturally significant areas in Africa. We've been talking to the governor of Benza Congo to be able to develop the area into a tourist attraction. Next slide, please. I know you'll have a lot of questions. Our team, including Sonigal, will be around for the rest of the meeting. We thank you very much and enjoy the conference.
Muito obrigada pela apresentação.
Thank you for your presentation. The time has come to hear from the acting president of APO and the Minister of Mineral Resources, Oil and Gas of the Republic of Angola, His Excellency Diamantino de Azevedo. Excellency João Manuel Gonçalves Lourenço, President of the Republic of Angola, and the holder of the executive branch, Excellencies, Ministers of State of the Angolan government, Excellencies, Deputies of the National Assembly, Excellencies, Governor of the Luanda province, Excellencies, members of the Angolan government of the Republic of Angola, Excellency, the Secretary General of APO, Excellencies, ministers, representatives of the member countries of APO, Excellencies, ministers, and representatives of APO observing countries, Excellency Minister of Hydrocarbons of Congo, and the OPEC President, distinguished members of the diplomatic corps, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am highly honored to introduce to have Mr. João Manuel Gonçalo Lourenço, the president, is an honor guest for the VIII Congress of and exhibition of petroleum and gas on the opportunities and challenges for the oil and gas sector of Africa. I seize this opportunity to welcome you again to all the heads of delegations and participants to this triennial event, which is being hosted by the Republic of Angola between the 16th and the 9th of 2022. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Council of Ministers of APO, I would like to inform that in the last 2 years, we have witnessed the rebirth of our Energy Continental Organization, which increasingly is becoming more professional and more dedicated with a view to cope with the challenges of the decarbonization of the world economy. During the APA existence, the Association of Petroleum Producer Countries, founded 35 years ago, with the modest objective to promote the collaboration in the oil and gas sector. Initially, we were happy with the objectives of the association. By emphasizing, we moved from 8 members to 15 members and 5 observing countries. In this period, we emphasize the following classes: the establishment of a framework cooperation agreement and mutual assistance amongst the member countries, a comparative study of the legal and contractual framework in the field of hydrocarbons among the APO member countries, study of the stratigraphy of the sedimentary basins of Angola, a guide for the local content in the Africa oil and gas sector. In the context of new APO dynamics, we have conducted a study on the future of the oil and gas sector in light of the energy transition. The recommendations for this are the basis for the preparation of the strategy for the member countries. This will be the instrument of working for the coming years. We understand that it is such a great challenge and that the level of development across the petroleum producers changes or varies significantly. However, even the most advanced countries on this matter, they cannot affirm that they have achieved the desired satisfaction levels. For this purpose, APO has instituted a roundtable on Africa local content to revise the policies and the progress and the implementation of local content in the member countries, especially in light of the world or global energy transition. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, During this year, that Angola is assuming the presidency of Apple. We urge the Apple countries to continue their efforts for the long-term strategy and to hold a head of state summit for the Apple countries, as well as the mobilization of the initial seed capital for the energy, Africa International Energy Corporation, IOCORP. In this ceremony, we will sign the MOU with Afrexim Bank. We also intend to urge the Apple's Secretariat General to intensify the campaigns across the upper member countries, as the union amongst all the oil and gas producers will enable us to provide a better approach and to safeguard our legitimate interests. To end, Excellency João Manuel Gonçalo Lourenço, the President of the Republic of Angola and the holder of the executive branch, to thank you for authorizing the organization of this event in Angola and for the utmost sponsorship and support provided. I would like also to thank all those who supported us, together with the Ministry of Mineral Resources, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the National Agency for Oil and Gas and Biofuels, Sonangol, the Apple, Secretariat General, ICIPA, Amtrade, as well as the international oil companies already mentioned. Once again, I thank you for your attention, and I also seize this opportunity to wish all our guests a very good stay in Luanda. Thank you.
Grata pela sua intervenção, Senhor Ministro.
Thank you for your intervention, Minister. Now we're going to have the signing ceremony of the Memorandum of Understanding on establishment of investment fund in energy sector of the member countries between Afrexim Bank and Apple.
Convido agora ao palco.
I invite to the stage for the signing of the memorandum
E vamos agora.
Now we are going to witness the signing of the memorandum between the parties or by the parties.
Está assim lavrado
The memorandum of understanding between the Africa and Apple has now been signed for the establishment of a fund for the energy sector of the petroleum producing countries. I am highly honored to invite His Excellency João Manuel Gonçalo Lourenço, President of the Republic of Angola, for the official opening speech of the 8th Congress and Exhibition of African Petroleum.
Your Excellencies, members of Council of Ministers of the African Petroleum Producing Country Organization, dear members, observers of APO, Your Excellency, the Secretary General of APO, dear members of the Executive Board of APO, dear chairmen of national and international oil and gas companies, dear members of the Angolan Executive, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomat Corps in Angola, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, it was with great enthusiasm and interest that I received the invitation in order to preside over the opening ceremony of the 8th African Petroleum Congress and Exhibition, because I deem of great importance the discussion of the problem related to oil and gas in Africa, inasmuch as despite the ongoing efforts for decarbonization of the economies, these energy resources will continue to play a great role in the global economy and African economy over the next decades. Allow me first and foremost to welcome all the political personalities and the representatives of national and international companies who grace us with their presence, who will enrich the deliberation of the themes proposed for discussion. The theme for the 8th African Petroleum Congress and Exhibition, energy transition, challenges and opportunities in the African oil industry, shows once again the strong interest of the leaders of the African countries producing oil to deliberate on challenges and opportunities for energy transition and the future of the oil and gas sector in Africa, given the COP21 and COP26. I would like to welcome the decision by the Council of Ministers of APO to hold the 8th African Petroleum Congress and Exhibition, COP 8 in Luanda, preceded by an extraordinary session of the Council of Ministers, as well as the first meeting of the APO long-term strategy subcommittee and that of the CEOs of the oil companies of the African oil producing countries. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Republic of Angola started in 2018 a number of reforms in the oil sector in order to improve its governance, transparency, and eliminate any kind of conflict of interest. These reforms have culminated with the establishment of the National Agency of Oil, Gas, and Biofuels, ANPG, which is the national concessionary, and as well as the institutionalization of the National Institute of Oil Byproduct as a regulating body of mid and downstream, as well as the restructuring of Sonangol EP as for its repositioning in the chain of oil and natural gas. As from 2016, that the oil production in Angola has been declining sharply for various reasons, especially due to the lack of investment in exploration. Thus, in order to reverse the decreasing trend, the Angolan government has promoted initiative for the relaunch of oil exploration activities, improvement of operational efficiency, and optimization of cost, as well as the increase of local content, with a view to become not only exporter of crude oil, but also of oil byproducts. The government has set as its main priority the building of Cabinda and Soyo refinery and refurbishment or revamping of Luanda refinery, all these projects which are ongoing, and the biggest project of Lobito refinery that will start as soon as possible, ensuring in total the refining of about 400,000 barrels of oil per day. At the same token, the government has decided to increase the capacity of storage of fuels and lubricants, as well as increase the network of fuel stations, counting on private initiative in order to achieve that goal. On the other hand, the Angolan government has made a decision to join the international International Transparency Initiative on Extractive Industry, whereby it has as a goal as promotion of good governance and increase transparency in management of oil revenues in general, and in particular those from oil, taking into account climate changes and the growing environmental concern, as well as the need for energy transition for low carbon economy. The government of Angola has been working in order to promote sustainable exploration of fossil energy sources, and equally creating opportunities for development and the use of renewable sources of energy such as solar, wind, biomass, and hydrogen, and some activities and projects concrete in this regard are already ongoing. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I have been following attentively and with interest the evolution of APO that has evolved from the African Association of Oil Producing Countries to an organization emphasizing, therefore, the organic structure of the members. The mission and vision of the organization were profoundly changed in order to prepare it for the upcoming challenges resulting from the global paradigm change in fossil fuels to renewable energies, which is called as energy transition. The study on the future of the oil and gas industry in Africa in light of energy transition reveals the existence of an organization that is able to lead the transformation in the African oil industry, face to the tremendous pressure of international actors in order to abandon quickly the fossil fuels. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the study conducted by our organization illustrates the main challenges that the African oil-producing countries may face in order to continue benefiting of their natural resources in the in the years of global energy transition. I'm talking about the possibility of about 125 billion barrels and more than 500 billion cubic feet of natural gas to be left unexplored if we're not united and be able to defend our interests as a continent. For many decades, the project of the African oil industry in its three development phases were funded by exclusively foreign investment. This situation can be changed as a result of the paradigm change in the fossil fuels to renewable energies. If institutions on which we rely much for many years decide to finish investment in the main source of revenues for our countries, we have to find together a solution, a domestic solution that allows us to leverage our energy resources with reform and restructuring of the upper fund for international cooperation, well as the work that's being developed with Afri-Exim Bank for the establishment of an African Energy Bank. Historically, African oil and gas have been explored and produced mainly in order to attend to the external demand in the developed countries of America, Europe, and running the risk of being left without market in the near future. Our reality shows that a meaningful part of people in the African continent do not have access to electricity or to any other kind of modern energy for the domestic use, therefore creating the need of creating an African market that is able to absorb a great stake of oil and gas that Africa produces. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, at medium and long run, fossil fuels are doomed to be banned definitely as a measure to protect the environment and consequently our planet. All of us are obliged to adhere to the initiative of energy transition in order to save the Earth planet, our common home. Nevertheless, we defend that this transition should be a responsible and gradual process that protects the planet without bringing more hunger and misery to the people of those countries that rely on oil and gas exploration as the main source of revenues. As the energy transition is taking place, our countries have to expedite the diversification of their economies and leverage as much as possible the oil revenues for the industrialization of the continent. We all know that it's not easy because we have short time, but we don't have another choice if not to get abreast that as it is necessary, it has to be possible. I'm pleased to know that the first summit of head of state of Apple has been planned, and the government of Angola supports this initiative. And as much as the challenges that Africa faces today in this domain have to be dealt with at the highest political level. Therefore, I would like to urge the ministers and CEOs of national and international oil gas and all stakeholders in oil and gas sector in Apple member states and observers to commit to face the challenges of the industry in the continent. With these few words, I therefore declare open the 8th edition of the African Petroleum Congress and Exhibition. Thank you very much for your attention.
Muito obrigada.
Thank you very much, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Angola, with the golden key opening speech. Since the organization of this Congress in Rwanda is a single opportunity for the authorities previously informed for the family historic picture with His Excellency, Mr. João Lourenço.
Muito obrigada.
Thank you. Please, you can get back to your seats. You can have your seats. You're waiting for the people who were previously informed to join the president in this historic picture. The head of delegations.
E alguns já. Muito obrigada. Grata a todos.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for your presence. To remind you that within half an hour, we will resume our business with the first panel in this room. A break for the coffee break.